or it came to me in more of a nightmare. But the way I remember it, it feels more like a memory, like something actually happened. I had two friends, me and the two of them, and we would often go on these, how you could say, excursions. We would walk around looking for abandoned houses. We would search around in different wooded areas. We would walk around places that were haunted or creepy, just for the sake of it, because we thought it was fun. And one day we found a house, a yellow house. We also, when we would walk around these places, sometimes we'd find valuable things in them, so we would bring bags along with us. And when we came upon this house, we thought we hit the jackpot. First thing that we noticed when we walked into the house were the creaky stairs up to the porch. The charcoal black paint that was lining the sides of the walls and the floor. The wooden planks that were broken in areas, unstable, unsturdy, but also the paintings that lined the walls like an array of soldiers. We immediately got to work. We started putting paintings in our bags, and we started moving along down the corridor. We kept moving, and we kept moving, collecting paintings. And at one point or another, one of my friends decided to put his bag on the shelf that he saw nearby, put it on the shelf, and he tried to reach for a higher painting. And he jumped for it to try and grab it, and ended up crack. His foot fell through the floorboard. He screamed, and we immediately rushed over to see what was going on. He said he was stuck, that his foot was caught on something. We reached down to try and grab around, see what may have stuck on him, and we only came up with crimson fingers. We immediately started panicking. We started trying to drag him out and pulling. My friend down there was panicking as well. It was a pretty big struggle. There was twisting, pulling, anything, screaming. It was definitely something that we had never experienced before. A fear that something might have happened terribly to one of our friends, that he might have something wrong with his foot or the other. And in the process of all this shaking and screaming, the bag of paintings that he put up on the shelf not moments earlier fell down and tumbled all over him. The screaming stopped. We looked around. We moved the bag out of the way. The paintings strewn everywhere across the charcoal black floor. Some of the tapestry was tattered and torn from the fall. And we looked in the hole where he fell into, yet he wasn't there. And we immediately started worrying what might have happened until my other friend, something caught his eye. And one of the tapestries was him. A frozen picture of our friend with a look of pure terror on his face. It was a painting of a woman feeding some chickens in front of a barn. But in the barn, which is what we both noticed just a few seconds later, were a pair of glowing eyes. We weren't alone in this house, and we had to go. Careful that we might fall through, scared that we might fall through any kind of other trapped floorboard or something of the other. We walked carefully and slowly towards the front door where we'd entered. And we walked, and we walked, and we walked, yet it didn't seem like the front door was coming any closer. We started to run. We ran, but the front door didn't seem to be coming any closer. We kept running and we kept running, while the front door didn't come any closer. Eventually, we gave up. We stopped and we panted for a moment and decided to assess our situation. We looked around. We saw which ways we could possibly go. All there was the long hallway, still a few more paintings lined up on the sides of the walls. And we saw the broken staircase leading upstairs. Can't go upstairs. We looked around. There were no connecting rooms, except for one. We opened the door. There were stairs leading down. We closed the door immediately and started to run for the front door again, but to no avail. Eventually, we gave up again and walked back to the door that was leading downwards. At this point, both of us were really, really, really frightened. We opened up the door again, and we started walking down. What surprised us the most when we walked down and we made it downstairs into the basement was that it wasn't dark. It was like an open field. It was very, very large. Imagine the field in front of the Beaumont Augustus, but the entire field is also the lake. It's a very large field. And we started walking through it. We kept walking for a while, looking around, looking for a pair of glowing eyes potentially, looking for anything that might have hindered our movement or have been following us within this field. We stayed close together, constantly touching each other so we wouldn't get lost. The field was short grass at first that slowly became longer and longer and longer. We continued to grab onto each other, out of both fright and safety. Eventually we walked to a point where we got into the field and we kept walking for hours at this point. It seemed like the field was also paranormally large. And we kept walking, and eventually we walked to what seemed to be the edge of the field. We cleared through the grass, and there was a door. Like some kind of sick game, something was playing at us. We walked through the door, and immediately a trapdoor crashed open, and I fell through down. It was a dark, musty area. My friend was up there calling, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I felt like my ankle was sprained or swollen, broken potentially. My friend was screaming, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And suddenly was cut off. I shouted up, "Hey, are you still there?" I was met with no sound, but an uneasy uncomfortableness. So I looked around at where I was. Looked like some kind of pit. Very small, very cramped. But there was a door. Another sick entrance to another sick place. So I opened it and walked into a room that could only be described as a chamber, a dungeon, a place where someone would go to feel pain. It was dark, clammy, with only a single light hanging up above. The only things in the room were me, some spider webs, and a flashlight. I grabbed the flashlight and looked around the room more, until I saw a pair of glowing eyes in the corner. Interestingly enough, they seemed curious. I stayed away from the glowing eyes for a while until I had to eventually. My curiosity took the best of me. When I walked towards the glowing eyes, I fell unconscious and woke up later strapped down in an area with my friend nearby me. A guttural voice cried out between the two of us. We could both hear it. I tried talking to my friend, but I couldn't. I just couldn't speak. "Which one of you leaves?" it said. We looked at each other. "Which one of you leaves?" We looked at each other again and looked around, struggling against our restraints. We were given a choice. Apparently, whatever the creature said, we were given an equal choice. The creature said that it gave the same choice to my friend that it did to me. You can either both agree to leave, however, You will return here, and you will give me the thing you love the most. Or the creature gave us another option. One of us would leave while the other stays here. We were given 15 minutes to decide on our choice. Then we could talk. I talked to my friend about it, and eventually we both decided that we would come back later. And so 15 minutes passed, and I locked my choice in. Momentarily later, I woke up in front of the doors of the yellow abandoned house, with my friend nowhere nearby. Because I had chosen that he would stay, whereas I could leave. Whatever that creature was, or whatever was in that house, what scared me the most is that I never saw it. Was that it always saw us, and it always knew us. And still, when I walk around today, I see faces that resemble those two of my friends, like a distant memory, yet I can't remember their names, nor can I remember who they were. All I can remember is that I was very close to them, and nothing else. It seemed like I woke up from this dream, a nightmare, but still it feels like a memory.